All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start. Let's spend a few minutes for everybody to gather, and then we are going to jump right in. Good morning, good morning. Hello, everybody. I just drew one of these angel cards for those of us who are already here. And guess what? Abundance. Isn't this nice? The 5 of you that are here, this is what's going to be happening for you this week. So, early bird gets the worm over here. So, look at this. Maine and Ontario seem to have the same weather forecast, guys. I know you guys think we are like in the North Pole and we are polar bears, but last week was scorching hot, and I'm telling you, it had a humidex of 36 degrees, whatever this is in Fahrenheit. I believe is around 80, but you guys, if you have time to check it, correct me if I'm wrong, because the conversion is not as straightforward. So let's see who is here. Hello, Chris. Hello, Brittany. Yogi. Of course, Barbie was already there, and this time I jumped on Barbie. I wanted to be before. Hey. Just I have that advantage that I can write when I post it, but I guess I have forgotten to do that. So I got this new deck. I wanted this round deck for a while. What is this called? closed zone or something. Tarot of the cloisters. And it's very interesting. It's just a regular Rider-Waite kind of thing, a stainless steel kind of like a look. It is round, so that's going to be a challenge. And the reason why it's going to be challenged that there is not necessarily up and down. There's like sideways, there is like northwest, northeast, east. So I will be actually really interpreting this like exclusively guided by, well, maybe I shouldn't say exclusively. Of course, I always look at the meaning of the cards, but in terms of reversals, that's where I was heading. It's going to be exclusively by my intuition, unless they're really clearly up or really, really clearly down. So keep that in mind. Ooh, did I prepare my little thing for Barbie over here? So guys, happy birthday to Geminis. And we are still getting kind of like locked down here in Toronto. I think it's very interesting how people are reacting. There is like certain kind of like nervousness over, hey, I have been locked up for 3 months and it's enough. People want to get out, especially last week. You should have seen in that beautiful weather. And Toronto issued a map first time where they are like showing where certain cases are and how many. And the area where I live has the smallest one in entire Toronto. Only 7 of people who got sick, not even who died. So no wonder that all these crowds are bumping into, and always like, I wonder like how come, like I mean, we are not getting sick, but I guess nobody is sick in the area. And now that nobody is continuously traveling in different sides, we are not spreading it. So hence, we are managing to stay happy. So guys, I don't know, you don't need me to tell you stay safe, you know the drill. So let's start with Tauruses, because Tauruses, this is your birthday after all. So no, what am I talking about? That would be Gemini. What am I talking about? Okay, let me have a sip of this coffee. I guess I didn't have enough. I made the first coffee and I was like, okay, I really like the crema on top of my Americano. So I put the cream first and I put my sweetener on the bottom. And as espresso was pouring in, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I had this all the nice cream. And then I realized all the milk is cold. It was horrible. So there is like, I mean, new thing over here. So let's see what happened here. So let's see, Gemini. Chris, you clicked on something wrong, just to let you know, right? So Gemini, there are like cards coming through over here. So you have 9 of staves, I guess, 9 of wands. And there it is, it's a sideways. 2 of vessels, that would be 2 of cups. And then it's the Hierophant. And it's kind of like really interesting, like these 2 cards would really talk about that you're fighting for your own happiness. You're fighting for your own, let me bring it up to you so you can actually see the cards. Because with this new YouTube system, I don't really know how to zoom it in. But here, look. This is really talking about a warrior who is willing to fight, who is willing to obey orders, but who is also really worn out with everything that has been going on, right? But this is one of those last stages that you're like really dedicated to either a relationship, if you're in a relationship, or searching for one. And you are kind of close to maybe giving up on somebody or something, but you're saying to yourself, you know, I just don't think, kind of like, I really want to give up yet. I'm continuing. And I really think this is like either about the job, because Hierophant can talk about being a boss, or it can talk about some kind of marriage. You really want something, and that's why this came sideways. something is undecided, and doesn't really surprise me when it goes sideways for Gemini, right? Because you're like your own worst enemy. Like, I mean, as much as you can talk yourself into great things, you can also talk yourself out of it, because there are like these two faces continuously talking inside of you. So the same thing is like with the twos. I'm kind of like seeing a little bit of Gemini in all twos, even though you rule sixes over here in tarot. But look what we really have here. We have you being very goal oriented. We have you rolling up the sleeves. We have you, look, I am putting my rules down and I really don't care what's that going to cost me, right? Hierophant can be a little bit rigid. This is not really, none of them is air, as you can see from these three cards, right? And a Hierophant is the one who is saying, well, I control this whole freaking thing because you are supposed to follow the rules that I tell you, right? And you actually, funny enough, like you are in agreement with these rules. You are realizing that certain things can only work if those rules are obeyed, if these rules are kind of like going in that direction. So let me see what kind of angel card you have here. And we have courage, and we are going back to this nine of stoves. Is it, am I pronouncing this properly? Staves, I guess, right? Stoves. Well, it would be nice. Nine of stoves, like 9 stoves. I didn't know that you can lift the top part of the stove until yesterday. Imagine that, like being freaking clueless for, like, I mean, almost half of the decade. So I think courage, look at this, is taking this leap. This is to the proverbial Fool's card. Like, I mean, it's really telling me that, you know, message for you is don't stay safe. Don't kind of like really wait for either this or nothing, because this is not really about the other person. This is more about you. It's about if you really want to fight for something and if you really want to put yourself out there. Self-protection and kind of like staying in your little kind of like a tower is going to give you protection from hurt, but it's also going to protect you from love, and you're not going to get it. So this is actually telling you, kind of have courage, go after what you want, put yourself out there. You are strong enough to withhold any fallout of anything that happens. Do not play it safe at this particular time. So hopefully this helps, Gemini. Actually, really lovely message for the upcoming week, and for those of you who are celebrating birthdays, that you're really enjoying this. Okay, so what and who do I do next? Okay, so we did have a link to Taurus, and I was like mentioning Taurus initially, so I think Taurus somehow, spirit guys are probably nudging me and saying, come on, we want a Taurus, we want a Taurus. What do you think about these cards? So we have 7 of Pentacles here for Taurus, actually lovely card for your sign. And then we have Queen of Swords, and we have 8 of Swords. There is like some kind of damage, guys, that you are reassessing, right? 7 of Pentacles, I actually really like as a card. And I don't know if you can see it here in this deck. You know, they're like either kind of like, I mean, poles that are supporting these growing things over here. But the first time I saw this card, when I went through them yesterday, it reminded me of 4 of Wands. And 4 of Wands is like about going in a new direction, celebration, we can make it, being hopeful, feeling secure. It's almost like as if that day then you say I do, like you're really, really looking forward to something, right? So equally 7 of Pentacles is about readjustment of some sort, but in a positive way. You are saying, okay, this doesn't work, but this does work, and actually I really need to put a little bit more effort, put a little bit kind of like more, you know, attention to certain things. It can really talk more or less toward excuse me, toward I have a neighbor who's coughing and I started to cough, so hopefully it's nothing really serious. Otherwise, I'm going to like destroy the city region averages of this 7 over here. So to me, this almost looks like you have a portfolio of stocks. And in that portfolio of stocks, you have let's say 4 that are performing really well, and you have 3 that are not doing well. So now you're saying, okay, I'm taking these 4. That's what I did was working, but these 3 are not working, so I'm replacing them. So replacing them with something else, you still don't know how those 3 will work out, but you do know that you have something to rely upon those 4s, right? So there is like this hopefulness, and you are also kind of stressing out kind of like this direction where you're heading. But then you had Queen of Swords and 8 of Swords in reversals. And Queen of Swords is like one bitchy person over here. Maybe you kind of like want to organize your life. You're trying to figure out how to move forward with your money, with your work, with your situation, with your relationship. And maybe, especially if you're dealing with an air sign, they're not collaborating. So from all these basically signs and all basically elements, air is going to have the most problems being suppressed. And that's why we see the riots. This is all happening, and clearly the guy who has been murdered, his air has been stopped. So you can see what happens when you stop the air. Now there's like somebody who is going to be heard. There's like somebody who had enough. Generally they describe Queen of Swords as horrifying, and surely she is this person. You can see her screaming and screeching and kicking, and oh my gosh, you really don't want to be in the area. But at the same time, what is really important to note is we see only tail end of the situation. We actually didn't see everything that has been happening. Somebody is really coming to their like wits end. They cannot handle, they don't want to handle, and sort of a things. And it looks like it was somebody who couldn't act and he couldn't react, because 8 of Swords, and I don't know if you can see it, there is this woman caught in there tight. In this particular deck, she doesn't look as if she can easily break free, right? So it came reversed, both of them, right? So which is good, because there's like somebody who is almost cutting these chains of oppression. There's somebody saying, oh my gosh, I just can't believe it. I was feeling stuck, I was feeling comfortable, and I was only getting half of the results, right? So he planted this tree and he's only getting a shrub. Yeah, he did get something. He's saying, okay, there, but this is not necessarily tree that he or she hoped for. And there's like this questioning yourself. Maybe you're getting angry with yourself, saying like, why did I think this is okay? Why did I think that I didn't stand up and be counted? And this is kind of like really rebellious. You're having like 2 airs. You're starting a week really nice and cushy like Taurus, and then you're going into, oh my F God, right? So when 8 of Swords reverses, you are clearly heading out. You're clearly expressing your displeasure. You're clearly saying no more. I am not going to do things. So the words, or somebody's telling you something, there's like some oppression, if you want me to use that extreme word. Somebody feels stuck in a situation. Somebody feels their needs are not served. Somebody feels, I don't want to really be in that situation, because that situation is not only not serving me, but not serving anybody. It's not good for the universal kind of like a justice, if you wish. So let's see what we get here. Oh, this is so adorable. We get tenderness and we get a black kitty. And it might sound also that somebody's coming toward you. Somebody's saying, oh, you know, you're just looking after yourself and your own things, and you're not taking me and everything that is going on in account. This also can talk about somebody waiting to hear from somebody as well, and waiting a day after day after day, and somebody is just not really calling or not showing any effort. And generally this card talks about this is because they can't. And I know you're saying, what do you mean they can't? It's easy to text, it's easy to do that. Yeah, but words have consequences. And maybe you're expecting an answer. Maybe they don't have it. They don't have it yet. Interestingly enough, that you got tenderness. Like, I really expected anything but this. So tenderness, like petting the little kitty, is just you get more honey with bees than with the vinegar, right? And this is really telling me that maybe somebody might be coming toward you, demanding something from you, putting it in your face, that the situation could be much better handled with kindness, with soft hand, with soft approach, instead of stubbornness, instead of kind of like clash. And so be very cautious if this week you're actually running into some, I don't know, people who may not be necessarily agreeable with you, or who might not cooperate. Maybe you're expecting cooperation of some sort. They're not going to be. Remember that there is like some kind of frustration that reached the tipping point over here in their situation, and that you really would raise above your own karma and kind of like diffuse this entire situation with simply kind of like being attentive to their needs and to their requests, and really listening to really what truly bothers them, what is really expressed in those words. So kind of pay attention towards this particular week, right? So let's see, what do I do next? And I'm going to do Aquarius next, because usually because of me you go last. So let's go Aquarius. And guys, please, if you didn't click like, please click like. That's kind of like my only gauge for this Saturday CATURDAY, and I'm so glad that you're here. So this 3 wanted to go out. So we have this one, I think, coming first, and we have 8 of Pentacles in the situation. We have 2 of Swords, which was sideways, and then we have a 6 of Swords, which is sideways. So clearly there's like lots of air. It's almost like very similar to what I've seen in Tauros, guys, to be honest with you. We have, it's going to be a situation this week that is going to be very tensed. It's going to be challenging, and it might be very explosive. However, because now you're listening to this, you might be able to prevent it. If you get all huffing and puffing and you're reaching that boiling point, then you just need to remind yourself that you have seen that in the reading. It's kind of like really lovely here. He's blowing those pentacles over here, right? 8 of Pentacles is like about putting the finishing touches on anything, right? 8 of Pentacles is about your expertise is culminating. Now it's like you have learned a trade. Now you have to deliver and continuously deliver, right? And you need to kind of like be shown, otherwise it's just going to go to waste, right? So it can connect to Virgo. I don't know if you have a Virgo or an earth sign or another air sign that you're here dealing with. 2 of Swords is really talking about indecision, and it is like something that needs to kind of like move forward consciously. You're feeling very passionate about something, but at the same time you feel, well, I cannot put this on my plate. I just can't, or it doesn't make sense, or I love her but she's only into money, or I love him but he's like with other people and that is hurting me profoundly. So it is kind of like one of those reflective moments. That's why she's blindfolded, and she really needs to make this hard decision, that selfish choice, right? And clearly you are going to make a decision this particular week, and that's why the 6 of Swords is really showing up. Because look at the waters over here. Waters are all curled up, and look at in this deck, she is crying. She is devastated. Maybe because one of these choices, have you ever been in the situation that no matter what you do, you are sad? You just don't win, and that's why this choice is being really hard. So this choice is being made over here, and it could be about leaving some kind of commitment. It could be about something that has been so dear to you, something where you invested ridiculous amount of time and money, but you really need to let go of that, right? 6 of Swords is about letting go. 6 of Swords is saying, okay, I did not get out of the situation unscratched. I'm very scratched. I'm kind of like really feeling it quite a bit, but I have to move on. I have to hope there is something better for me. I have to hope that we are going in a different direction. So something might get you out of your balance. Something may come to us that we just really need to deal with it in a moment. Maybe we thought we are getting ready, which is reminding me I better go to my mechanic and check my transmission, because it was kind of like saying here and there, like, I mean, you need to check it, and then I put in oil and it went away. But this is kind of like a thing where I'm sleeping and thinking, oh, and this is all good, this is all not happening, and then palm, like, I mean, maybe they tell you like it's so expensive, and then you have to make this decision. Of course, this is not kind of a heartbreaking decision. It is a shocking when you have to, like, I mean, point out a whole bunch of money. But this all could be talking about our feeling of stability, our feeling of that we are going in the direction where we really want to go. This also tells me that some Aquarians have felt maybe that you are kind of like floating. I don't know if that can make sense. Like you're like a balloon that is kind of going just like in the way the wind blows, without particular direction, with maybe almost like others directing you about the situation, and that you kind of like really try to ground yourself, this Eight of Pentacles, right, to kind of like really pull things together, and it just like didn't feel like it. But just think of this, that maybe you have been trying to find a fertile ground where it isn't one, and hence it's kind of like looking for a different thing. Look at that, lovely education. And so I think decision is going to be made with something that you read or something that you see, or you're going to just simply recall your training. So it's going to be that we Aquarians are going to make a cold decision, and that's going to be what we are famous for. But simply our logic never lets us down, but our basically emotions do let us down. So we are going to go, and it's going to be really interesting. It's not going to be much communication over here. It's going to be lots of internal processes. And education is awareness. Education is understanding of what works for us, what doesn't work. Maybe somebody doesn't want to commit to us. Maybe we don't want to commit to somebody else. Maybe this decision comes as a shock. I mean, if ever happened to you, it's just kind of like weird how your spirit guides really react. I don't know how many people said to me, and I have been in a very similar situation where relationship is going very well, and then it just one morning you wake up, you're supposed to be getting ready for a date, and you see your, like, I mean, other half, and it just hits you, oh my gosh, but this is never going to work. And it's just like all of a sudden it changes the cards, right, of the game. And something like that is going to be very, very important this week. Moving forward, there is a hope, but there is also sadness for leaving something behind. But you know what I'm going to tell you, my dear Aquarius? We are almost like Phoenix, even though Phoenix is also represented for Scorpio. And I wouldn't fret much about that, because we always land on our feet. And sure enough, Chinese torture kind of damages lots of people, but just allow yourself to kind of like land on your feet, and allow yourself time, allow yourself to feel sad, because sometimes Aquarians rebound just like other air signs too quickly, and not allowing themselves to mourn, not allowing themselves to get rid of all this negative information. So that's why you will see air signs being bitter and being caustic, and that's the reason, because they're still bottling up stuff from the past. So if you're dealing with an air sign, especially Aquarius this week, be that soft place to fall. Allow them to get that out of their system. Oh boy, that took forever. Okay, so where do I go next? Let's go Virgo over here, because it was kind of like very prominent, the detail oriented over there. So Virgo, what do we have Virgo here? We have Knight of Staves, and then we have King of Staves. Something is moving forward. This one wanted to come out, and this one is Five of Pentacles. Now that's very, very interesting, right? Let's start with a quote-unquote negative card, right? Five of Pentacles. Did I draw a card for Aquarians? Yeah, I did, education. Five of Pentacles, and I'm trying to make sense. What is this? I just kind of like looked into that, and I just generally do not see these two figures, but I see almost like a glass cracked or a door cracked over here. Five of Pentacles is about people who completely don't want to take the norms and rules. And given that they're in minority, they suffer as a result, right? And hence there is like this also sense of abandonment of how can you not see what I see, and why is it that you don't protect me. It's also that feeling when you find you're in a situation when you kind of help somebody and help and help and help, and now it is their turn to do even something minuscule for you, and they just don't do it. They almost like rub it in your face, because now you're realizing all along they have been resenting things you have been doing, right? So Five of Pentacles is that thing of passing by or bypassing rules, or thinking the rules don't apply on you, or creating new rules, which I really think it's the case in this is your case. And there is like this Knight, and that sentence indicates Sagittarius, so you might be dealing with a fire sign, but fire signs also sometimes describes dating, right, of some sort. You want certain things. You want to progress from this Knight to King. This is clearly, it's weird, this King really looks like a Queen to me. And look at this big candle over here that is being lit. But he did not go and turn all the way. So it's good, because it's just like didn't kind of like fell through as probably I would interpret it in this way. I think this is progression, because it kind of like would go forward. So this is about enthusiasm. This is like maybe you're involved with somebody or dealing with somebody who, it could be you as well, that you're kind of like interested, you're very attracted, you're very passionate. Maybe that someone is taken. Maybe that someone you're not clear about the status. Maybe with that someone you don't know if they want to stay permanently with you, right? Maybe you are thinking you're moving a relationship along certain lines, and it maybe can go both ways, right? And it's going to really be some kind of duality over here. We will see when I get a clarifier. Some of you will turn this person or turn yourself into, this is going to work, and this really feels good. This really feels passionate. It's more grounded passion. It's not burning everywhere, running around, because Knights are running everywhere around, right? So think about these people like as spreaders of the disease in this situation, and these people as, okay, so this is what we know about this, and that's what we need to do, right? Two different temperaments, but they are both very passionate about that. Versus here, hey, you haven't done what, and you have been spreading this everywhere around, now I'm going to punish you. We see how, the same situation can be taken in positive and in negative. So maybe you're being judgmental because you're Virgo. Like, this situation is really, really affecting you. You're probably thinking that people are ridiculous. You're probably bunkered up in your home, just like my really good friend Mike. He just like didn't leave his home since March, and it's just like you're not taking a chance, and maybe this is like where the disagreements and issues are starting to happen. You need some joy, guys, in all of that, and maybe this is like exactly what this person is offering, so take it. And this is really telling you, don't be miserable, don't make somebody else miserable, because they are going to start seeing something else in you which they're not going to like, and that might be closing that door to you as well, because these two guys, these two creatures in tarot, these two court cards are known for their joy. They are known to really put their 100% or 1000% in everything they do, even if this means they're going to fail. But they are like true. There's like that authentic part. I need to do that, because if I don't do that, yeah, it kind of looks like politically correct, but it is not me. So it's very important to kind of like go through with that kind of direction, guys. So it's going to be a really interesting week for you, Virgo. So please choose joy. And if something bothers you, just laugh it off. And that's going to put your stress down, and the other person is going to see, okay, so this person can laugh at a difficult situation. That could be my gal, that could be my boy, right? So just keep this in mind. So did I do water yet? No. So who do I start with? Let's do Scorpio. Let me have a sip of coffee. MK said God Trade of Taker is really, really good. I think we are really seeing lots of things happening through all this period. Aquarians are human rotations and don't have time for low vibe. Exactly. It's just like enough of talking, kind of like people show with their actions, and it's kind of like time to do that, right? All right, so let's see, Scorpio. We have Four of Swords reversed. Oops, everything was falling out over here. So then we have the Moon also reversed, and then we have Three of Pentacles reversed. Well, let me really give you first, it's kind of really interesting over here what I see. Because it tells me that you have set some really lofty goals for yourself. But those lofty goals involve other people. And those lofty goals involve certain element of luck, right? You do not have a fire though. So there is like no motivation to go toward those goals, right? So think about it. Air is always the one who comes up with this all crazy ideas. And initially everybody is thinking, well, this is absolutely crazy. You know, Schopenhauer said that all truths come kind of like go in stages. First is ridiculed, then it is violently opposed, and then it's basically taken as self-explanatory, right? So with Four of Swords, it's neither. It's kind of like, just leave me alone. I just came from a battle. I just really don't care if the house is burning. I really need to take a nap. I really need to eat something. This is my priority right now, and I really don't care about anything else, right? So it's one of those proverbial questions, you know, you see your curtains are burning, you see the water toilet is flooding, you see your pets are running everywhere around and finally getting out of the door. So what do you do first? You run away, right? Like you don't attend any to these kind of like things. So Four of Swords generally talks about his rescue and talks about coming back. And we do not see these people in the stained glass window of the church where he is honoring him staying alive. Instead, it's reversed. So that peace is disturbed. There's like something that is really affecting. So what is affecting it? It's the Moon. And the Moon is the key card over here. I love the beautiful Moon card over here in this deck. So it is like so overwhelming. It's kind of like so overwhelming. Focus on something. There's like a focus on some stability. You are thinking that you are sailing into a phase where everything is going to really work out, where it's going to be cooperation, where, you know, it's going to be happy, kind of like, I mean, what is that song, right? Ho la la kind of a thing. But the Moon is also talking about perceptions. Moon is also talking about that you might be very wrong about your perceptions, or that you're like judging somebody incorrectly. And that's not very surprising when you're going through Venus retrograde, especially guys, if this is resonating in terms of your relationships, right? Because you're thinking, well, somebody's right in the pocket or something is going in a certain direction, and they're not thinking like that at all. It is just like your vision, it is your sureness, your fixed sign that this is really happening. But basically, the Moon, when it reverses, it's actually even better than it's upright, because even though this indicates psychic dreams, it indicates visions, it indicates messages, right, which is all positive, it also indicates delusions and lunacy and confusion and jealousy. But when it reverses, it also has that duality, and that's why we have these two towers, right? Between something light and dark and healthy. Is this Moon kind of like going to start to wane and start to become a day where we kind of like see certain transparency in the situation? And transparency here is saying, okay, you need to redefine the rules. You need to redefine what you want. Three of Pentacles is shown completely differently in this deck, because generally Three of Pentacles really talks about collaboration and talks about, and it's a very powerful card. To me, it's, besides Major Arcana, it's one of the more powerful cards, because it's saying that in a stage of 3, and generally the higher you go, the more is being asked of you. It's just like in the grades. But here, there's like something crucial being learned that everything else is going to prevail in comparison. And that is that spirit of I'm not alone here and I cannot do things alone. And if I think like that, there's going to be something really wrong about me and I'm going to set myself up for failure, because ultimately everything we do, the job we do, the money we earn, everything is in exchange of how much we contribute to the other people and things that they need, right? So in this particular deck, I believe that message is modified, because we see somebody having a coin and receiving 2 more coins, but we don't know if they are receiving or somebody took these 2 coins, really, if you really think through it, right? Also, we don't really know if there is an exchange of the services, or there is like just some kind of like charity, as it would be shown in 6 of Pentacles. So there is like lots of unknowns over here. But check it out. When this reverses, these 2 coins that are being kept almost like in a very lackadaisical manner, right? Sort of like easy. It's different. Like this person here, right, is having this coin that is going to drop. So this collaborative attitude, or that thing, is going to be one of the parties that is going to be left with nothing. And it's going to be a gamble that basically didn't pay off. And maybe somebody's just going to pull away, and that's why we're having this 4 of Swords, and it's going to say, I need to think about something, and it's going to send you or the other party, because it can go both ways, this is a general reading, to some kind of like I mean, run for the woods kind of a thing, right? Be very careful. There's going to be lots of triggers this particular week in your situation. And what came through? Joy came through. It just jumped out, and it was like from the previous reading. But again, I see the motive of 3 angels over here. Is there some element of joy that is missing? Whether this is a relationship or there is a direction in life. Because here we see, hey, you know what, just everybody leave me alone, I just need my space. Here I can see thoughts and emotions, not so much thoughts, but more or less emotions swirling through you, and you're very comfortable with this, right? We Aquarians, we are not comfortable with all these emotions coming through. It's just kind of something happens, whether I'm super excited or upset, I need to sit it out to kind of like calm down to the level when I can think through that. For you is the opposite, right? Because here, this is confusing you, and then you're trying to process this emotionally and trying to see, okay, what is really going on? Are you kind of like really goal-oriented? Because we fixed signs are very goal-oriented. Did you miss a point of something? So for you, the answer is coming through. It's interesting. It's 3. It might be 3 people. Maybe 3 situations that you might be dealing with this particular week. But there is like some kind of like goal-oriented approach, which right now needs to stop, needs to be diffused. Like somebody is not thinking about your goals the same way you think about them. Somebody doesn't want to cooperate, or somebody is coming up with completely their own concept of this. So you need to be open to that as well. You need to be open to see, hey, you know, why is this taking this direction? And it's going to be a learning lesson for you. So just given that you're very intuitive, listen to the signs. Don't overreact on any kind of like emotional triggers, and see what you are being told, and also listen to your own words as well. So the next one, which this led me to, will be Pisces. So let me see. Pisces, and YouTube is again having issues. I have to keep refreshing because it's kind of giving me really weird messages, but it is what it is. And what do we have today? We have the SpaceX mission, right, going in the orbit, and it's going to be huge, right? So we'll see what is this all about, what is all happening. So let's go. Pisces, 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 Pisces. Oops. Oh my goodness. You want, like, your spirit guides are like, give me this whole deck, I just really need to show everything. Look at that. You have the star. This is a precursor to your sign. This is the precursor to basically your mission over here. And look at this, she's putting this whole star together. Then we have 4 of vessels, or 4 of cups. Then we have 4 of staves. Then we have the Empress. and then we have King of Swords. So air, 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 fire, and water. So we do not have ground, right? We do not have pentacles over here, even though the Empress also has Venus in it. And I really think this is really what it's talking about. Maybe there is like, I think there's like some level of disillusion. I actually would say and go as far as on the limb to say that you received something that you really wanted. And now that something is almost like exploding in your face. Or it isn't what you wanted. Or it isn't what you hoped it is. Or it isn't how, you know, it's supposed to be handled. Whenever I see Four of Cups showing up, it's really talking about somebody who really doesn't know what he or she wants. So whether this is you or you're dealing with somebody like that, you have another four. You have a Four of Wands. And this Four of Wands is always a positive card, right? So all fours are showing different aspects of what you need for stability. For stability, if we do not have this emotional stability, if we don't kind of like feel content, then we always kind of like worrying, right? And maybe sometimes we talk ourselves into sadness because the next stage, Five of Cups, Five of Vessels, would be, oh my gosh, I have lost. It's like usually what people happen, and you can see it in the middle age, looking back, oh, I wish I did that, and I wish I did that. Yeah, don't wish you did that, do it going forward, kind of a thing, right? And I think something like that is going to be happening for you this week, that there's like something that you're losing hope, you're losing faith into kind of like going in a certain direction. But the star is all about nourishment, the star is all about the belief. So when there is like no hope, there is really nothing. So this is going to be a week for you to kind of like revisit your own moodiness, your own how you look at things, your own what is important to you, your own in which direction you want to go. You cannot accomplish and reach the goal where you really want to go if you don't know what it is. Some of you are feeling that, and you might have a really powerful people around you, whether they are like, I mean, people of law, or they are people who are somehow important to you. Could be a mother, could be, you know, a woman you put on a pedestal. It could be yourself, that you're taking yourself too seriously, right? Maybe you're just simply not feeling attractive. Maybe you're feeling that the time is passing you by. Maybe you're feeling that you're being looked over. Maybe you're feeling that you're getting a short end of the stick. You're going through lots of aspects of thinking. You are going to try, and like you have two major arcanas, which is really prominent. It's very important, and this is some kind of karmic part of you, because 17 and 3 are making 20, which is judgment. And judgment is like we need to release things, both good and bad. If we have been doing something really well, then we have mastered the lesson, and it's not going to be as challenging as in the future. If we have been having a repeat of bad things and bad words and a similar situation coming to us, maybe we for once react differently, and we are in peace that things and bad things can happen to us. And guess what? Again, we graduate, and again the situation doesn't compromise us and doesn't kind of like create the difficulties for us in the future. So it's going to be really, really big week over here, guys. So it's going to be really interesting. You might be dealing with Taurus, you might be dealing with Libra, you might be dealing with Aquarius, and of course I see the influence of fire, air, and water signs. So I think the other people will contribute to your moodiness this particular week, but you'll be doing lots of thinking in lots of direction. Harmony. I guess that's the key. And that's what I was saying. You really need to figure out what makes you happy and what is it you want. Because without that, you're just a leaf in the wind. And you're basically subject to other people's moods, to other people's wants, where some firmness will be important. And I think this is like maybe why this is really showing up. This kind of like staves are kind of like solid in the ground, whether they're up or down, right? It's really talking about enjoy where you are. It doesn't have to be final stage, but the stage it is nonetheless. And with being in the stage is kind of like really important to kind of like understand that things still need to be worked, still need to be built. Respect yourself for who you are, and allow yourself to even do nothing if that's the case. But also, I would say there's going to be a situation that is going to be challenging, and you have to figure out And look at this harmony, and they're showing up with 3 cups, and here is like a 4 cups. So it's really saying to you that you need to understand what is the name of the friendship and what this situation means to you, and if that was somebody really dear to you where you don't have this emotional engagement, if you can react differently. And that's the message over here, my dear Pisces. So Libra is next. Libra is next. No, Barbie is saying no, it isn't. Barbie is saying let's do pick a card. So why don't we do that? Let me close the screen, and I prepared a deck that I'm going to open, and you guys think of the question that you want to have answered. Ta da da ta ta ta. What's up, Tiger? What's up? You have to see this. I mean, it was his 19-month birthday, and I asked Alexa to sing a song. So whenever he does, it makes him feel very important. So let me just do that for a second. Alexa, sing Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Yes, Tiger.
Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And that is for my dear Geminis. So, all right. So let's go to the questions. You should see Tiger. He feels so important when this is singing, and all my animals are trained to this. So I can see now Sapphie coming up, and Kid Matrix is also showing up, and I think it's a catnip time. All right, so I have a first, I have a second, and I have a third card. So let me reveal this and go to a different screen if this lets me, and let's see what we get out of it. So who came up with the one door number 1? You got 6 of Swords, and 6 of Swords is about transitioning. So this question that you have asked is going or in the direction that is going to be hopeful and positive, and it could be a relationship question, it could be about some commitment, it could be about some collaboration, but there is like also the essence of unknown over there. There is like, okay, whatever happens with this question is not going to be exactly or fulfilled. Let's say it's going to be 6 out of 10. It's not going to be yes or no, but it's more on the positive than not. So you kind of like need to tread carefully, right? Because she's treading over water, and you know, she can get stuck in the mud. She might not reach the other shore, but this is all about navigating. And navigating in this case is the swords, which means you need to navigate through what you say. And the words are going to be extremely important, more than actions, and what you say and what they say. But it looks like it's going to be going toward the resolution and toward what you really want to do. Then Chris took door number 2. Anybody else? And I can tell Chris took it because the devil showed up, and the devil is representative of Capricorn, and Chris is Capricorn. Can't you see that? Now, interestingly enough, the devil card upright is also, like, look at this, we have these 2 6s, 15, 1 and 5 is 6. It's really talking about our lust and our lower instincts taking over us. It could be codependency. It could be that we long for something and then something is really not good for us. We are doing things that are damaging, but we are going, yeah, just tomorrow, until tomorrow never comes. But when the devil reverses, we are fully aware of what can get us in trouble. We are able to make an adult decision. We are tearing those chains. So the answer here is that literally you're going to be the master of your own destiny. You are going to be revisiting if the situation and the wish is good for you. And even though you want it, you're not wanting it if the price is too high. You're going to be thinking about it, I don't know if I want to commit to A, B, C, and D. That's not what I want to sign for. I want it badly. Yeah, I want this $1 million, but not if I have to burn both of my hands, kind of a thing, right? So this situation can involve exes as well. Generally, I'm always seeing with them coming from the woodworks of some sort. And they even come with hat in hand. They even come with being super nice, everything that you want. You know, like when you break up with somebody, you kind of like really want them to do something. But it's also telling me that you will be, if that's the case, thinking like, if this happened, maybe it's not meant to be. And we need to kind of go in a more mature way, because after all, this is Earth. It's very grounded energy. You're kind of like really trying to see how this is going to work. So you're going to have basically the reign of your own destiny, guys. I'm going to tell you that you will be asking yourself and telling yourself, I don't want to fall back in the patterns that I had in the past. And it's going to be healthy decision. It's going to be breaking the chains of some oppression or something that has happened. All right. In door number 3, we have Strength reversed. Now, this is also major arcana, and Strength is really talking about something that maybe is a short-term decision for you. Maybe you really wanted something to culminate or to result, maybe as quick as between now, like in the next month or 2 months period of time. Strength is about also watching what you say and navigating through, maybe let's say, diplomatic waters or through relationship waters. Sometimes somebody drives you insane, like things that do, but you really don't want to blast them. You just accumulate everything inside. But when Strength reverses, you are not diplomatic anymore. You had enough. You tell them or they tell you. So this, I would say, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because somebody's just going to have a bad day. Things are really going to go in a bad direction. And things might be said. Even anger can be expressed, which is going to put a lots of distance in this goal. So you really have to be careful. You really have to kind of think about yourself and how you're approaching the situation, what makes you angry, that you sort of like can debate calmly and peacefully in spite of whatever things you say. Also, Strength reverse is telling me if your question was about a commitment, that somebody doesn't want it, and somebody might even get angry at the person who wants it. So just keep this in mind. Sorry who took Heidi Swadek. I don't know what you guys took, but I told you, for those of you who are present on live, you can ask me direct question. You don't have to tell them exactly your question for privacy reasons, but you can tell me main area and I can even go deeper in that, right? So who did I say would be next, or did I say who would be next? The Taurus? No, I said Libra, I believe. So let's go ahead. See, this is really good to prevent Alzheimer's when you're doing this kind of stuff. It's always testing yourself to see. There you go, Libra. And then we have it. We have Three of Staves, we have Seven of Swords, ouch, and then we have Ace of Vessels. So I'm already seeing a shift. First of all, this is you coming through. Look at this. 3 and 7 is 10 and 1 is 11. The card number 11 in tarot represents Libra. It's Justice card. And it's kind of like measuring all of the things that are happening, right? So it's 3 of staves. Man, I have to figure out how to pronounce this better. This is the proverbial card of ships that we can see, really ships over here. In tarot, you know, in our life, usually we say number 1 is the beginning, number 1 is the leader, number 1 is the beginning point. But in tarot, number 1 is only a seed, and number 2 is nurturing that seed, and number 3 is the very, very beginning of you saying, I can do something with it. This is like where you get the stage, you know, I can grow the tree and I can have the fruits of the tree and so on. So there is like this merchant, there is like this thought, there is like this passion, there is like something going on. It's an action, right? Because with wands, it's always an action. So this is also about other people and how we communicate with them, because these ships are friendships, relationships, partnerships. It could be a whole bunch of different definitions. You're putting things out and you're trying to see what comes back. You're trying to see if your efforts can even be rewarded of some sort. Some of these efforts are going to come back as betrayals. You're going to see, you know, that certain people are not able to react well under pressure. And that's why Seven of Swords. And Seven of Swords is a really interesting card. It could be also that you are seeing that somebody is just not there for you. With Seven of Swords, even though people always say, well, it's betrayal and somebody's taking things away from you. But there is also that one possibility with Seven of Swords, that you're grabbing your things because it was the window of opportunity. Somebody took something away from you, and you're saying, okay, let me, like when we say we'll just count our losses, I'm going to take whatever I have, cut it here, call it quits over here while I'm ahead. So somebody taking it, and I think the clue is like looking back. So why is this person looking back? Is he looking back because he's like stealing and taking this under guise of night? Or he's looking back and saying, one more time, I'm looking back in what it was. Because remember what was before that. It was Six of Swords. In Six of Swords, somebody was traveling off that troubled water. Somebody was hoping for this better future. Now, is this somebody who's looking back and saying, you screwed me. You really screwed me. But guess what? No freaking more. I'm not letting you. And I'm not letting certain things to get to me. I'm taking what is mine. So I'm seeing this more or less like that for you, because you're air sign and sevens are encouraging for air signs. You're getting really goal oriented this week. You are starting something new. And if this means stepping on somebody, if this means taking what is rightfully yours, you're not going to hesitate. I'm just going to be very, very clear with you. It's kind of really interesting. You want love, but not at any price, not at any cost. And somebody is going to be very surprised dealing and negotiating with you, because you're going to have a completely different flavor. You're no longer going to be vanilla. And they're used to the sweet, beautiful, vanilla type of, and you're going to be hot peppers this particular week. You're going to say, you know what, yeah, I agree, and I agree, but that doesn't mean I want to do it. And I agree that you have to have your life. I agree that you have to have your attitude. Just because I agree to that, it doesn't mean I like it. And they're going to be really shocked, because you're not going to even say this in any kind of like powerful or angry manner. You're going to say that calmly, because that's the aha moment. And that's what Seven of Swords is. You kind of like get it. And that doesn't mean that necessarily you are just taking your ball and going home. That means at times that, hey, it's just what it is. I cannot change people. They're too old to change. They can only change themselves, and that's because they see something special in me and in connection. And that, believe it or not, that change of attitude and that indifference and that kind of like nonchalant attitude is going to take them off their feet. It's going to rattle them to the point they're going to start seeing you differently. Maybe you have been in a relationship that kind of like fizzled away. A passion was not there, maybe love was not there, and it was just getting at each other's throat. It was maybe lots of bickering. And when you stop bickering, this doesn't mean it was resolved. It could mean I'm all spoken out. I don't want to talk about that, which means it's basically over. You're just staring at this dead body. But actually, in this particular case, in your case, is doing something else. That somebody maybe who took you for granted, or you took somebody else for granted, is now becoming interesting again, because they're showing you teeth. And that's what you actually like from the partner. People always think because you look so mellow that you really like mellow relationships, because you always try to put things in balance. You're kind of like on the outside trying to show the stability. You're trying to say, well, my life is okay. I mean, I'm looking into what I do for a living. I'm looking at who my friends are. I'm looking in my balanced diet. But then all of a sudden the rebellious spirit of Libra kicks in, and they're like, whoa, where did it come from? And this is where it came from. And you just kind of get into this, no, just because I'm easygoing doesn't mean I'm stupid and I know what you were doing. Just the fact that somebody is pulling that card, it's all of a sudden there's like passion in the air. But this time it's going to be, oh my goodness, I can't lose this person, and I better kind of like, somebody's seeing you in a completely different direction, because Ace of Vessels, and this person is also looking in this Ace of Vessels. So maybe you're looking into a relationship and asking yourself if this relationship is bringing you quality and happiness that you wanted, that you hoped for, that you kind of like said, well, let's see how it goes. And ultimately, you're coming down with this balance, this grace. And interestingly, grace is also something connected to the card number 14, temperance. So I don't know if you have any Sagittarius in your life, but it also clearly can be that 11 as well. And there is like this Tai Chi motion over here. So I think even though you're going to show your teeth, if you wish, that you're going to go really back to where you are, because I almost think that you just went to the next level. You are no longer, and that somebody has to understand that they better come up on your level and deal with that, or they're not going to be dealing with you at all. It's kind of like you're having it together, and you're saying, look, this is mine, I'm taking it, I don't want to argue, have a good life, kind of a thing. And they're kind of like really realizing that you kind of like are fed up with certain things, but also at the same time that they still have a potential, but they have a potential only if they correct themselves. So dealing things with grace in the end is going to be really, really interesting, even though I see somebody snapping at some point. And that's going to be sort of like a turnaround moment for certain things, and turnaround moment for you to go in a better direction. So let me see what I see here. Someone sent me something showing my teeth. It's funny. Barbie, enhance our life, not complicate. Exactly. All right. So who do I do next? What did that reading remind me of? So we did Libra, and you just came out. So let's do Aries. Let's see what we see for Aries. And I was talking, my brother is Aries. I was talking to him, and he is going through a very difficult situation right now in his life. His dog, that is 7 years old, his dog is like only 2 weeks older than Sapphie, both of them being Aquarians, is having a severe kidney problems, and is going twice a day for this kidney, what do you call it, transfusion, and it's just showing a tiny little bit of progress, not enough for this period of time. And he has to carry the dog down because the dog is like 100 pounds. And this is becoming difficult, both on the dog and on his family and on his finances. It's one of those impossible situations where, you know, if we are perfect, if we have unlimited amounts of money and everything, things might be different. So it's basically dog's life is hanging on a thread. So let's hope that little white cream lab Lou pulls it through, that she has as Aquarian enough strength to go forward. So let's see. I don't know what other areas are dealing with, but we will find out. Welcome, Barbie. You're so sweet. We have Page of Vessels, and that's why it is. Oh my gosh, this is a message of hope. Message of hope, but oh my gosh. Whew, because I'm looking this for my brother, I'm thinking, you know, is this going to feel, this is it, that you're on the bottom, that it's really interesting, because even when bad things happen, as it happens in Ten of Swords goes, we feel defeated. We feel there's like nothing you can do anymore. Nothing, right? It's going to only take time to kind of like pull the swords and to heal. In this particular deck, we don't even see a new day being born and new things really coming through, right? But what was a precursor to this Ten of Swords with this Page of Vessels? And this Page of Vessels is this messaging, and Page of Cups, and hope for something new to happen, and something to basically cheer you up. This is not full-blown love affair. This is kind of like hope that something might work out, right? I don't know if you can see his little two fishes kind of like swimming in the back, and also he's talking to this little fish, because we have both King of Cups and Page of Cups representing with Pisces over here, right? So there is like some kind of like communication, there is like something and hopefulness and lots of love invested into something that is just not ending well. And this is one of these cards in tarot, Ten of Swords, in the Death, of course, it kind of like ends badly. And also it's maybe just representing fear of things that might not work out, because 10 and 2 talks about hangman, that's 12, and hangman is like looking at things from a different perspective. So maybe certain things for you guys that seem to be very hopeful and are not happening, or you're very concerned, are reaching some kind of status quo. Maybe you're not going in a direction that you wanted this all to go. Maybe it's kind of like almost like a black and white kind of a thing. Ten of Swords is also end on one phase, start with a new phase. And maybe some kind of hard words be spoken, some hard decisions. Certain things just need to be left behind. And even if this poor pup has to be left behind, it's going to be understanding of that this, the most important thing is to give love and to give our appreciation of things in these moments, right? And to kind of assemble as a family and cherish what we have while we have. But it's also very positive that we have two of vessels after Ten of Swords. So somebody or some situation that is beating out any freaking joy out of you, any kind of like willingness to move forward, is actually almost like making you raise out of the ashes and kind of like understand the healing power of love. So you are doing actually something well. You're just kind of going to lose hope in the meantime, or some kind of like messaging is going to be negative or discouraging. But this is really telling you, hey, you know what, you need to kind of like be positive in the situation above all, and you need to trust. Look at this trust. It's a unicorn, and unicorns don't exist. But if you don't believe in unicorns, then here you go, they don't exist. But I have one over here, even though I don't know, it doesn't necessarily look like a unicorn. But we need to trust that things can happen, and things can happen to us as well. So do not get defeated. Do not accept answers because they might not be fully right. And you know, like that healing powers of prayer and of love, it kind of like does happen, and it doesn't have any, let's say, normal explanation. So guys, as much as I have given the example of what my brother is going through, Mr. Aries with Leo ascendant, this is really saying you need to believe in impossible. You need to believe that certain things and beautiful things will happen. And this is really, really important because it's going to bring you to the better place no matter what happens. So I really hope this kind of like went in a better direction. So let's go with Cancer next, because this was like very emotional, and you guys are also one of the most emotional signs that get through. So I had it a stamp at 1, 11, and 38. So they're like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. They're like some messages, and I think this is a turnaround week for many of us, because that's what I'm seeing from the majority of the readings. It's kind of like going in that direction. So you have 5 of Swords, you have 3 of Swords, and you have 9 of Wands. I don't like this 3 of Swords, and yes, it did come reversed, and it looks like it's going to be some huge argument, because this is a third party, this is a third party. I feel there is going to be a situation in your life that is going to be extremely challenging. It's a situation that has repeated in the past. It's not the first time. And it's a situation where you're almost like fighting with the windmills, and you keep doing that, and things do not result well. 5 of Swords is about winning. Somebody wants to get whatever they want to get at any cost. They really don't care what happened to you. And you are hopeful. But there are swords. And swords is your not element. Neither we have a ground nor we have cups here. So you're not being yourself. You are being challenged in a situation where lots of thoughts are swirling through your head. You are thinking, what if? And if I do that, what's going to happen? You are thinking, hey, you know, how do I stabilize myself? You are simply not feeling that you can kind of like reach to any kind of conclusions, but you're feeling also depressed. When 9 of Wands reverses, you're not willing to go forward with something. And almost looks to me, it's some kind of realization of some sort, guys, that something is not good for you anymore. It's about some kind of commitment. It's about what these people really do for you. And it's a very mature if you ask me, attitude over here that I see. I see that you're saying, look, if we're together, if this is talking about relationship or if this is talking about work, because this is also technically a different type of relationship, you're saying, look, I do know the rules of engagement. I do know that I have certain power, but that you have certain power over me. But if I keep trying to make advances and I'm not being met, or almost looks like if this is a job situation that somebody else is taking a credit, or somebody else is just exalting themselves and putting you down, because it seems to be like some kind of like it's between you and me, and they're of course choosing me kind of a thing. Or in a personal relationship, the same thing, is somebody self-absorbed, or you're telling somebody what hurts you, what bothers you, and instead of listening and acknowledging what you're feeling, what you're going through, they're just saying, yeah, you shouldn't feel this way. Don't you like when people tell you, like, I mean, that your feelings mean nothing? And hence, there's a decision that you're making, and you're saying, all right, this is going to be painful. I invested a lot, but you know what? I'm not fighting. And this is kind of like a situation where you're staying and trying to figure out what happens. Interestingly, it's showing the light. And I think this is almost like, what do you call it? Not contraindication, kryptonite to the situation. Something is making you feel rebellious, something is making you feel sad, somebody is pushing you in a kind of like a corner, and nobody puts baby in a corner. And no, you're not willing to fight, but you also are completely understanding, and look at this, it's almost like a birthday cake, and I think it's your birthday soon to come. Like you're kind of like really taking out of this a very positive attitude. You're saying to yourself, you know what, I need to focus on what makes me happy. I need to focus on people who are working, who are there for me. And maybe I have neglected these people because I was chasing these rainbows over here. And going back to these basics, going back and feeling comfortable with your family, feeling comfortable with your friends, feeling comfortable with coworkers that you feel, you know, some kinship with, is actually going to put you back on a positive path and kind of like toward enjoyment of this particular week. So the light is kind of like engage yourself, even in the smallest of activities. Have a cup of tea, kind of join, you know, CATURDAY, have a coffee with us, make yourself happy. That's going to be basically the key takeaway for you for this particular week. So hopefully that's going to help. So let's do next. So what do we have here? So let's go Capricorn next. Let's do Capricorn next. Guys, please click on like. I would appreciate this. Just take a second to do that. Oops. And there we have your cards. So we have again Three of Swords. Then we have King of Swords. Then we have Page of Wands, and then we have Three of Pentacles. Ay, Capricorn. What's happening over here? Again, this is about exes. This is possibly about a third party. This is about some kind of like words, or there is inaction. There is like a lack of cooperation in the situation. You have 2 trees, right? It tells me there is a situation where other people got in the way. There was like something of a sort, or maybe one particular person got in the way, and this person has a pretty big importance, but maybe also in a negative way. And this could be a person that comes as a package deal. Maybe you're dealing with somebody with a child, right? This doesn't have to be necessarily the youngest of the childs, but it's a child nonetheless. And maybe somebody was guided with kind of like holding to this pattern versus something else, and maybe it was a choice that they have decided almost like against you, or you are deciding against some kind of like situation. There is like clearly, you know what they call it, meeting of the minds. There's like clearly not meeting of the minds in a situation. Everybody's like just taking things to themselves, especially if you have been dealing with a fire sign. You may be dealing with a fire sign, earth sign, or fire sign, earth sign, or air sign that I see over here. And it could be that a certain situation has been hurtful, Maybe it's lacking passion. Maybe certain things cannot kind of like jump to conclusion this week. You'll be going through certain things this week. Maybe somebody is going to reappear. Maybe you are going to kind of like reach out and try to kind of like explore a certain situation. They might not be completely responsive to the advances, or you might judge the situation in the end saying, I don't know. I mean, it has to be like, this is the collaborative card, and all trees are really linking to this Empress, to this like general, the kind of divine feminine, and the generosity we can have. And this is the difference between being complete animal and human. That's where we see this change in this Empress card, right? Where she can accomplish anything she wants. She's the Empress, but she chooses to do that kindly. She chooses to do that softly, right? So they're like two reversals of these trees, where there is like some kind of rigidness about the situation, or it's maybe not flowing properly, but I don't see the cups to really see the flow entirely. But I see that all the pieces are not fitting, which is the pentacles. It's very kind of like three-dimensional, and it could be, there as exactly, it's involving the other people, and these other people are still having influences. It's like dating a partner who is still in love with somebody else. It just never feels right? So something like that I'm seeing over here. So let's see what card you get as a clarifier. Let's go with this one. So support. Is this shoe shining thing, or it is, oh no, it is somebody trying to get somebody over the wall. I don't know why, but when I saw this card, it reminding me of Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles is the card where we build walls around us, where we kind of like don't want to reach out because whatever is out there can be strange, could be threatening, could be that we are just not ready to kind of like dwell with this. But here it's showing that, hey, you know what, it takes two to get over this wall. Maybe you're dealing with a situation where a couple of people have kind of guarded themselves, and they have kind of like raised these boundaries or barriers. But maybe these boundaries and barriers, even though they're very important, because if you violate them, you're never going to get there. And yet, if you don't violate them, you're never going to get there. So it kind of like really feels very tricky. So hence, in this situation, it's really important, and the situation can move forward only when two people are willing to collaborate. So it's asking you support. Maybe you need to bring a third person. Maybe you need to bring somebody else in the process. Maybe, you just kind of like really need instruction from somebody else on the side. It's going to be one of those weeks, but this is maybe support that you need to give to yourself. Maybe, as I said, speak to a friend, go and get your tarot reading, or, friend, mother. There is going to be something that somebody is going to give you, their morsel of wisdom, that is going to be very, very helpful. And interestingly enough, this particular thing is telling me you're getting out of a really difficult situation, and that difficult situation was partially because of you closing in, and now by opening this out is kind of like really changing it. And this is going to be a really biggie, because this whole situation has been happening, or is going to happen, is there because there was like some kind of like stagnation in your own development, and now you're reaching out. Now you're ready. You are kind of like taking the steps to get out, and that's very important, and it's also very, very healing. So we have Sagittarius and we have a Leo left. So let's go with Sagittarius. So let's see what we see for you, my dear Saggies. Sagittarius. We have Six of Pentacles. So there is this balancing, who needs to get what and why. And there is like Knight of Vessels, and then Queen of Vessels. But Knight of Vessels is reversed, and maybe this is why this balancing is happening. So what is the difference between Knight of Cups and Queen of Cups? Knight is moving. Somebody is giving you this offer of love. This is like the knight in the shining armor. They are singing the songs and professing their love, and they want to be with you, but at the same time they're going in a battle. You don't know if you're ever going to see them. You don't know if they're going to feel the same way. They're like not there to stay. Knights are fleeting. Knights are really, really interesting. They're very fast. So one moment you see them, one moment you don't see them. This is who actually basically hurts us in tarot, would be knights, because they leave an impression on us. It's like really, really big energy, right? Queen of Cups is grounded energy. She has the biggest cup, even though not in this deck. He actually even has a bigger cup than she does. And maybe this was the big promise made, but I don't know, can you see it, that his face is covered? He is not showing everything. He's not showing his cards. But she has the biggest heart of all in this entire thing, and that could be connected to Scorpio of some sort, right? It could be also connected to Leo, Lion heart, right? Kind of as well. So Queen of Vessels is like this general big force of feeling comfortable, or this could be a mother of your child. This could be you, that you're mother of your child. So now it's really interesting how this is really showing up, right? One basically almost like being down and one being up, right? So they're like two different emotional approaches to the situation. There's like some kind of like measuring of this. Maybe you had two people. Maybe somebody kind of like piqued your interest and it was something promising, loving. And then it maybe was another person. And I keep seeing the duality with you, and I don't know why it is. Like I'm seeing this with you more than with Gemini, but it's the same axis, right? So you want to go because you are represented as Knight of Wands in tarot. You like your own exploration. You like striving for learning different things. You're interested in people. Everybody's interesting, but not necessarily sufficiently that you stick around. But there is also about value, because that's why Pentacles are showing through, right? What do you really value? Do you value adventure, or do you value commitment and dedication? And that's why he has this scale. Look, he's not really giving this to anybody, but he is contemplating certain things. It's kind of like looking deep inside of you and reassessing what you really need, what you really value. Do you have these big dreams? Like you Sagittarians, you rule this 10th house, right? Your dreams are never Mickey Mouse dreams. You're not going to dream, or if you want an ice cream, you're not going to go and get to the truck and get an ice cream. You want the best possible thing, and plenty of that. You have like this huge, enormous big dreams, right? But the people who have been there with you, kind of like guiding you toward these dreams, sometimes feel forgotten, right? And this is like what you're like now grounding yourself. The Six of Pentacles is telling me this is about relationships. You might be having two people to choose from. One will be a lover, for example. One will be a husband or a wife. And a husband or a wife is going to come on top, because you're kind of like realizing that certain things are interesting, but they are not lasting. So there is like this understanding of what people can really offer for you, right? And what kind of like benefits you can really get out of it. And Six of Pentacles is also asking you to give, and you're going to really test it out, maybe both parties, and you'll see what you get out. Power, interestingly to me, this is like a Hierophant. You're going to feel that you have this power. And power is also to me connected with the Strength card, the Leo card. And it's really talking about kind of like feeling that you're doing the right thing, that you're going in the right direction, that you are empowered literally, right? And it's kind of really interesting. It's almost going to be empirical, kind of like for you. It's going to be experiment. What comes when I do that with this person, when I do that with this person? And it's, interestingly enough, the results that are going to come back to you are going to be very surprising, and you're going to even surprise yourself with what you end up with and what in the end is of interest and what you really want to stick with. So Sagittarius is going to be really interesting, kind of like to see that. So she missed work. Barbie, she's the cutest. Okay, Barbie, this is next, and I think this is the last. Before we do the last, pick a card or the doors. It's a Leo. Your last, my dear Leo, today. Last, Leo. Leo, 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 Leo. All right. Is it going to rain outside? It's also supposed to rain today. So what do we have here? We have the moon. We have Five of Swords. And then we have Hermit. What's up here, Leo? Two majors. And there are two nines. The two nine, this is almost the same card in tarot. Like, I mean, they're like both major arcanas, and this is upper major arcana, which is kind of clear connection with God over here, and Hermit is God himself. So I just got really goosebumps when I saw these two cards, right? So Five of Swords is kind of like a choice. It's a choice where somebody has to come on the top. And generally saying you're going to win, but you're not going to win much. But when I pick up this card and when I look at the three of them, you might not win that much, but you're still going to feel powerful. You're still going to feel nobody's taking, you know, advantage of me of some sort. It could be a situation where you need to pull yourself out from the situation, because the moon card is about perceptions, and it's not really clear what is going on. You're not, somebody pulls wool over your eyes, right? In moonlight, you see different things kind of happening, and then you come closer and they're none of the sort, right? You walk through the dark forest during night when you have only moonlight, and everything seems to be scary and big and different. The path over here is path to clarity, path to the sun, path where you need to be. But there's this 18, and the 19 would be the sun card, which is really ruling you. So there's like something that you really need to go through. It's going to be something that is really insecure. It's almost like walking on a tightrope, where you're looking down and you're feeling a little bit out of balance. One moment you're feeling everything's going to be okay. Another moment, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose myself of some sort. It almost looks like you're pulling yourself in your own wisdom. This is a little bit lower vibration than the moon, but it's more tolerable vibration, right? While the moon is like very emotional, and that's the difference between these two cards, right? These are both 9 vibration. 9 vibration, we are talking about rewards and punishment for actions. So whatever we did right, we are getting rewarded. Whatever we did bad, we are getting punished. And so this punishment and reward come at the same time. And it's sometimes really hard to, discern. And that's why the victory here is going to be very narrow, but it's going to be a victory nonetheless for you, right? So the Hermit card is about this lantern. This lantern represents of the real values. You just don't want the pie in the sky, the dreams and the promises. This is all nice, and it's also about romance. The moon is always kind of like romantic period. And Hermit is also kind of like saying, well, you know, I really have to see, especially when it comes to relationship, you're seeing if you're going to be alone in that relationship or going to be with someone. It can also talk about some kind of abrasive attitudes, and maybe almost like always when you kind of like address certain things, somebody says, no, it's not, it's the other way. And this can be also happening with all this kind of like Venus retrograding that is really currently happening. So it's going to be a week of wisdom, I have to say. I really don't think it's going to be a bad week, but I do feel that you're going to feel rattled most of the week. That you're going to feel that you cannot read people, you're going to feel that you cannot really move forward, that nothing is really clear, and lack of clarity, because your sign rules the sun, complete clarity, right? So lack of clarity for you is like horrifying situation. It's literally walking through the dark and tapping in the dark, and it's like, oh my God, when is that I'm going to get there? So this is basically the time, one of those times when this is asking you to tolerate uncertainty. That uncertainty is something that is the lesson to be learned. So you need to go deep inside of you. The Hermit is here telling you, hey, do the meditation and kind of like see what this really represents for you and what is really hard to deal with this. And then all of a sudden you're going to reach a moment of clarity, which is going to feel comfortable, and then you will know that you have resolved the situation. Grace. pretty much like the Hermit. It's kind of like not a time to engage in the battle. If somebody wants to win, let them. Remember, your card is strength. You sometimes, you know what they say, give them a rope, they're going to hang themselves. That's what you're doing this week. Somebody's maybe rattling you, somebody's maybe provoking you, somebody's maybe doing things and trying to see to get the raise out of you. Don't engage. Just kind of like keep being who you are, keep learning from the situation, and kind of like keep yourself in balance. There's this grace. Things are still actually really doable and workable, but there are lots of things that are still yet to come to the surface, and that's going to be very, very important for you to kind of like really understand that you need to really go in that direction, right? All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do one more pick a card. And as Barb already is ahead of me, 5 steps ahead of me, let me just hold this back here. And I have to go to the bathroom, but let's do this. So think about the question, and oh my god, I don't know, this is 17 cards. You know what? Because it's the last one, I'm going to do the bundle. If I have to interrupt it to go to the bathroom, we are going to do that. But on a second. Hey, I'm just finishing something. Can I give you a call in about 10 minutes? Okay, thanks, bye. Talking about my friend who I told you is being locked himself in his own home. Okay, so this is the door number 2. And this is the door number 3. There we go. Let's remove the veil. And the door number 1. That's what I told you. I had a whole freaking bundle coming through. So let's see. We have Page of Swords. We have 10 of Wands. We have 7 of Wands. We have Knight of Cups. We have Page of Pentacles. And we have Ace of Pentacles. You guys really, really, really want something. You're really willing to do this work. You're really willing to fight for it. You're really willing to go in that direction. But you're at the same time at one point going to switch. I'm going to say, whoa, wait up. Maybe somebody is not meeting you halfway. Maybe somebody just wants what they want. They're not willing to go into this negotiation as they said. So it's going to be really important to speak and state your situation. You have like 2 pages. This is like very immature situation. And then you have a Knight of Cups. There's something that on the surface looks really nice, but the moment when you scratch the surface, it doesn't look great. And maybe it doesn't have the elements of being firm and taking the seed on. Maybe if you can, take it as you go, kind of like enjoy as you can. But for right now, I don't see permanence or some kind of like long-term solution in this particular situation. Then, door number 2, 2 of Swords. It can go either way. There's like somebody who needs to reach a decision, and decision is really hard. It's between head and heart. And one person wants to kind of think, well, these are the facts. Another person is thinking, well, these are the emotions. So this is going to be a conflict, and I don't really think it's going to be answered easily, or it might take a little bit more time for this to come forward. And the door number 3, we have 4 of Wands. Something is going to the next stage, something is being enjoyable, something is being agreed, and everybody's happy about that. So there you go. I don't know which category you picked, and I was like really surprised with this first one, but it is what it is. So I hope, guys, that everybody enjoyed this Saturday. I was thinking last night to cancel it and to sleep in, but I said no, I'm really going to miss everybody if I do that. So there I am, and I'm really glad I didn't. I'm really glad that I sat here through you, and hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. So have a wonderful week. I am actually working on the monthlies. I'm going to post them next week, and then I'm going to see what the June brings. So until next time, guys, you know that I love you and can't wait to kind of like see you again. And let's play something for the ending and to say goodbye, and you know that I'm going to see you soon. Okay, all the best.